LabKey server has long had the ability to export a folder as an archive so that it can be imported to another server or another location on the current server. This allows administrators to quickly create and populate folders in cases where they might want to transfer data or a folder setup from a staging or testing server to a production server, or to use one folder as a template for creating copies of its web parts or structure into multiple other folders on their same server. In the 16.3 release of LabKey Server, a new option was added to the Advanced Import Options page so that when importing a folder archive, it can be applied to multiple target folders at one time. This is to address the second scenario I mentioned, where a template folder might want to be used to apply the same set of options to multiple target folders without having to manually go to each folder and do the import. So I want to demonstrate this option with some test study data that I have here on my local server. So I have showing here a simple project that has 4 subfolders in it. So 3 study folders, study A, B, and C, and then what I've set up as my template folder. So this template folder might be where I want to might be a read-only folder to my administrators, that I set up the folder tabs and web parts the way that I want them. And prior to the 16.3 release, I might export that as a folder archive and then individually go to study A, study B, and study C and import that folder archive into each of them. The new feature is to be able to do that all as one action, so to apply it across multiple targets at one time, so that I don't have to click and make sure I hit each one individually. So what I have here is not only 3 study folders, but just to show that it can be applied to existing studies, my study A folder is already set up, has data in it, has participants and specimen data, whereas study B and study C are completely empty. So they're brand new folders that I created, have not had any sort of folder import applied to them or any study created in that folder. So if I go to the template folder, let's first make a couple of changes just so that we can see that they're reflected as I do the import. For example, let's say that I wanted to add a new web part to one of my existing folder tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and add the demographics data set as a data region to this particular participants tab by showing the contents of that demographics data set as a single web part. And again, I'm at the template folder level here, so I don't have any data, but I can set up my web parts as I want them. Let's make a second change to hide one of the folder tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this specimen data folder tab so that I can see just the folder tabs I want in my particular 3 studies and with the web parts configured as I want them. So after doing that, I'm going to now export this template folder using the standard UI that's been in place here for LabKey Server to go to folder management on the export tab. And I'm going to leave all of these options selected for the folder objects to export, and I'm going to export it as a zip file to my local machine. After that completes, I will, as I would prior to 16.3, go to one of the folders that I want to import that folder archive to, but I'll show you how to get to the new option to apply that to multiple folders at import time. So here from study folder A, and I could have picked any of the 3 options or any of the 3 studies that I want to apply it to. I'm going to go to the folder management tab again, and this time choose import and select the template folder that I had just exported. The new option has been added to the advanced import options page, so I'm going to check the box so that I navigate there after I choose to import this local zip file. Again, at this point, the folder archive has not been applied, so nothing has been imported just yet, but I'm given the opportunity to make some new selections. So here, if I select the apply to multiple folders checkbox, you'll see, again, I'm logged in as administrator, but these are the folders that I have administrative permissions to within this project, and I can select multiple of them to say that I want to apply this folder that I'm importing, this archive that I'm importing, to all 3 of these target folders. I can use this in conjunction with the existing options that were on this page, so I can turn off validation of queries to make the import go a little faster, since I know I don't have any data being imported as part of this template. And I can also select a subset of objects to import. So for example, if my folder archive that I'm importing had data in it, in this case it does not, I could go ahead and uncheck the options related to the study data so that I just get the folder settings and study settings objects imported to apply to the multiple folders in this case. So once I have all the selections as I want, I click at the very bottom here the Start Import button, and there's a quick confirmation just so I know exactly how many target folders are selected and that will be applied for this import archive. And when I click yes, just as it did before, the folder import creates a new pipeline job for each individual study, but in this case it created all 3 of them in one action for me and brought me to a page where I can see them as they progress. So folder study A has completed, and as I refresh this page, it's working through the additional folder archives that I selected. And once all of them are completed, I can now go to each of the individual study folders and see that those options from that template folder have now been applied. So for example, that specimen data tab that I had hidden is now hidden in this study A folder, and on the participants tab, the demographics data region is shown. And again, on study B and C, the same would apply. On the participants tab, the demographics data region is shown. Again, the template I imported did not have any data, so it kind of just set up this study folder as to match the template, and again the specimen data tab no longer is shown.